I was of the never again generation, which means we didn't want to ever see anything like the World War ever again. And we called ourselves the never again generation. And I had experiences of the war as a child in the United Kingdom. I remember the sirens going. And even today, my stomach crunches up when I hear a siren. I remember the sounds of the bombs dropping, of the anti-aircraft guns firing. I remember getting under the kitchen table every night to sleep there because it was the safest place in the house. I remember going out the next day and seeing the houses destroyed and the railway station destroyed. All this was petty stuff compared with what millions of other people experienced, but it was real enough for me as a child. And it brought home to me very much, which I've never forgotten. War is about people. It's not about statistics. Real people suffer. When you hear the news at night and you hear 49 people are being killed, they're real people. They're people like you and I. So, as a child, I joined the United Nations Association. I've been a member of for as God knows how long in the UK and the US. And when I came to America, well, I should say, when I met Ruhim and heard about the faith, the great immediate attraction for me was its emphasis on peace, world peace. And I was particularly taken, first of all, by its vision, this concept of spiritual evolution of mankind, running parallel with physical evolution that Darwin talked about. And then the lesser peace, the concept of the lesser peace and the most great peace, and the evolution of world government, the world commonwealth. That was one thing, the vision. And the second thing was that really attracted me was the practical aspect of it, giving support for others who were working for the same ends. Making proposals and working at the United Nations itself, and most important, working to develop an alternative model, a model of how the world could be, and that is the Baha'i community, and how we were all working hard together to develop ways of an alternative way of running things. And most important aspect of that, of course, is consultation. Consultation is a new way of people working together and is very different from debate, which is the method used in democracy. So it's the vision and the practical aspects that really attract me to the faith. When I came to America, I, of course, was interested in the American community, and I was immediately taken by the fact that the faith puts emphasis on the role of America in achieving peace. That prayer for America is the most important, but of course, many other quotations one could use. And let me just quote that one sentence because it's so important. This is in the prayer for America. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. What a wonderful thing. And this is America's destiny. When I came over here, I was already very, very in love with America. As a child, I knew that America had saved the world in the Second World War. There's no question about it. Under the leadership of Franklin D. Roosevelt. He died on my 11th birthday, April 12th, 1945. As far as I can recall, that's the only time I cried on my birthday, along with millions of others. So I was very taken with this destiny that is given to it by the faith. And I wanted to start thinking about, I was ruminating, um, why America? What's so special about America? Of course, immediately most people would say, well, it's a powerful nation, it's a big nation, and so forth. But so are other nations. So is China, so is India, so is Brazil, so is Nigeria. You could go on. There are a lot of very large nations. So clearly, that's not a full explanation. And so I started ruminating about this. And I should say, I was ruminating. This is not, these are my own thoughts, um, I hope inspired by Baha'i teachings, but they're not in the writings. And so I need to make it clear that there's a sort of disclaimer here. I'm not talking about official Baha'i positions, but rather my ruminations on why it may be that America has been chosen, however you want to put it, um, to be the nation that led the world to the establishment of world peace. And and in ruminating about this, there were three things that struck me. Not all of them very popular at this time. The first one is the melting pot, a term is not used very much in the last few years. But there are important aspects of the melting pot that seem to me give America um, the qualifications to be the leader of the world and establishing world peace. There were three groups of people involved in the melting pot. The largest, by far the largest group, were the voluntary immigrants coming from all around the world. Probably every country in the world has sent immigrants to this country. Um, the great thing about this is that America has contacts with every country. We're not alone. We're attached, sort of physically, through our population. We're attached to just about every country, and they're attached to us. So that's one aspect of the melting pot. The second large group are the involuntary immigrants, the slaves, the African Americans. And the great thing about their contribution to making this nation a leader in the world is the immense suffering that they've had to put up with. And suffering is how we grow. No one can talk to you about great ideas unless there's suffering involved. And without question, they've suffered. And some expression of that suffering is in their music. And American music is African American music, basically. That's the core of it. And it's what the whole world loves. American music is what the world loves. It comes from our American, African American brothers and sisters. And then the last and smallest group, but just as important as the other two, are our Native American brothers and sisters, who also have suffered enormously and have grown as a result and helped America to grow. And their major contribution is to help us understand the environment and to be in harmony with the environment, with nature. This is their gift to our country and to making our country qualified or starting to be qualified to lead the world in the circumstances we live in today. So the melting pot, that was that. The second thing is federal democracy. Federal democracy is a model for the world. Any future government of the world has to be federal. It can't be unitary. And it has to be one that's free. It can't be autocratic. Clearly, that's not acceptable. The world cannot, the peoples of the world cannot accept it. So it has to be something like a federal democracy, and that's what we have. It's basically incorporated into our constitution. And when we're all very proud of our constitution, that is a big plus. We are proud of our Constitution, and we need to continue to be so because it is a model for the world. And we've had 200 years or plus of working that Constitution, and it's been hard work. We've been through a lot of tests and are still doing so. And experience is what strengthens our capacity to lead the world. So, experience of running a federal democracy is another very important aspect of America's qualifications for leading the world. The third factor is our religious experience. And it links, of course, with our Constitution because we do not have a state religion. And right from the beginning, we've had tolerance of all religions. It's in the First Amendment there. And this is tremendously important because nearly every country until very recently had a state religion. Even my beloved other country, UK, has a state religion. It's the Anglican Church. And most countries do. America was pioneering in this idea of letting all religions thrive and not be tied to the state. This is clearly a requirement when you're setting up a world commonwealth. And it seems to me that is our third sort of great strength, qualifying America to help lead the world. America has achieved a lot in this struggle. They were the main country working for the League of Nations. They established the League of Nations after the First World War. Our President Wilson, sacrificed his career in trying to achieve that. After the Second World War, we were the leaders by far of establishing the United Nations and all the related agencies that supported and do such good work in helping bringing the peoples of the world together. And it was America who basically led the first act of collective security against one country invading another, which was the Korean War. Of course, there has been a dark side. And whenever I talk about the destiny of America outside this country, and sometimes in this country, people cast severe doubt on him and point to all the dark things which we're all familiar with that have happened internally and externally over the last 200 years or so, and particularly recently. My response to that, and I guess I'm paraphrasing the faith in a way, nations are made up of people, and so they act like people. And people, as we all know personally, we are engaged in a daily struggle to grow, to be better, and not succumb to our darker thoughts, or selfishness, or hatreds, and fears, and all those sort of things, and to develop our nobler side, and to grow. And this is true of nations too. So the world and America has its dark side, but we have to recognize that it's part of the process of growing. And this brings me to the last point on this whole subject, is what do we need to do now? What does America need to do in leading the world? And we have so much good advice coming from the faith, and one of them, and this is, I'm not sure whether it's the most important, but I would certainly put it very, very high. And it's Abdul Baha's advice: look for the one good characteristic, and instead of the 10 bad characteristics. How we could talk with those that we can't talk with now, if only we would do that. And it's an easy thing to do if you put your mind on it. So looking at the one good quality and less so on the 10 bad qualities is one thing we need to do. The second is to have a vision of cooperation, of moving forward, not just responding to day-to-day events, but actively working towards this vision of ultimately world peace and a world commonwealth. A third thing, and it's all part of it really, and it's particularly true of this country, or has been in the past, and that is we have to deal with this issue of extremes of wealth and poverty, which is causing so much division and creates so much low quality for so many people when it's not necessary, when we could do it. And so this brings me to, I guess, the last point I want to make, and it fits directly with the context of all this, talking about the environment and the world temperature and these sort of issues, and that is the need to deal with materialism. Materialism, of course, is a vital part of our lives because this is how we survive physically. But when we go beyond what we need and just accumulate things and it becomes an obsession, then it becomes a barrier. And in order to live in harmony with nature, just as in harmony with the rest of the world, large parts of which are still very poor, we need to focus more on just taking what our needs are and not just accumulating extra stuff that's not necessary and which basically either harms the environment because we're overusing it or depriving other people of the basics of life. So it seems that to me those are some of the things that we should be doing as a nation in our in fulfilling our destiny of leading the world to world peace. And I think that's it. Thank you.